Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where today you join me on the roof of a parking structure in Ann Arbor, Michigan for a bit of a backwards commute. The ride home in this, the 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid Calligraphy, or the K-Rover as I've been calling it this week. What I would say is the first Santa Fe ever in the history of the model that's actually kind of interesting to look at. This was one of the most polarizing designs that Hyundai has ever come out with. This one finished in earthy brass matte, one of the many matte colors that Hyundai has been experimenting with. But jokes aside, this is actually quite an appealing SUV because in my opinion, this segment, it's all a bit boring. So if you can look the part, if you can look kind of cool without having to break the bank, even though this one's $50,000, but we'll get to pricing in a second, then that is a win. So today we're going to show you around this new Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid. We'll check it out exterior, interior wise. Then we're going to drive it home from downtown. This will be somewhat of a real world commute, and we're going to see how close we can get to the EPA's rating of 34 miles to the gallon combined. So let's poke around this. We'll show you what makes it so weird looking. I think the back is probably the weirdest part of this Santa Fe. And actually the funniest part about this is it looks massive in pictures, but it's not very tall or big in person. I'm 5'11" and I'm just about, I don't know, probably 2 inches taller than the roofline here, but this is still Santa Fe sized. Don't look on this. Thank you to whoever's Honda Civic alarm is going off right now. Thank you. Don't look at this in pictures and think that it's actually the size of a Range Rover, even though it does look a bit like one. We have these little grab handles on the C-pillars, which I think this is a calligraphy only thing, maybe limited in calligraphy, but these are to help you if you're loading things on top. You can kind of use this handle to get yourself up onto the roof. So those are quite interesting. But anyway, let's go ahead and poke around this thing. We'll show you the interior situation here, and then I want to make this walk around pretty quick because it is 28 degrees outside. I am quite cold. So this Santa Fe is a 3-row SUV. This interior finished in beige, and then it's also like this olive green color. All of the plastics are this dark green. I think it's a pretty cool color combo, very earthy overall. You've got your dirt, you've got your grass, and then you've got your sand. All of it is here. These third row seats easily, stand by, easily fold down, and you can see you do actually have a pretty good amount of room with them folded flat. Pretty low load surface as well, easy to put things in and out. Pull this little compartment up and your battery is just right there. I feel like there should probably be a cover on that. Oh, and there's the cover that should be on it. How do we think this goes on? Probably like that. Okay, don't know why that was off. Maybe it died for the previous person that had it. Second row seats fold down with these buttons, but we're not going to fold them down because we'll be sitting in them as well, actually, as these third row seats, just to show you what room is like. But I don't know, guys, this is just one of those weird cars. I feel like 2024, 2025, we're kind of entering this new era of design. And this is one of the most kind of in-your-face ones. Either you love it or you hate it. It's definitely one of those. Also, sorry, getting sidetracked. If you do love it, you can buy it on Amazon Prime. And in fact, any other new Hyundai. I was on Amazon the other day and it was giving me ads for a Hyundai Santa Fe, and I was like, why is this on Amazon? And literally, Amazon Autos, you can Amazon Prime one of these to your door. So if you've got 50 grand and the ability to click buttons on the internet, you can have a Santa Fe to your house in no time. Anyway, what are we doing? We're going to show you third row seating room. Let's move this seat forward. You can do that with the push of a button. Get yourself into the third row. Now, this is still a somewhat mid-sized-ish SUV, so these third row seats are not really going to be super comfortable if you are, how does this come back? If you are a normal-sized person. There we go. I'm 5'11", again, just to reiterate. And I fit. However, I want you to notice that in order for me to fit, this seat has to be moved somewhat forward. But I do fit back here. I've got a USB-C port. I've got 2 cup holders on each side, so the third row passengers get 4 drinks to split between themselves. You can see this nice eco micro suede headliner, so I imagine they haven't killed any animals to make it. That is nice. We have rear AC vent controls back here. Hopefully you can disable those if you don't want your children messing with them. And then this calligraphy is a 6-passenger setup. Okay, so I suppose you could fit 6 adults, but the 4 in the back would be a little bit uncomfortable. But 4 adults and 2 children, that would be no problem here with the Santa Fe. In this calligraphy model, we have sunshades. We've got heated rear seats, which are a physical button on the door. That is my favorite spot for a heated rear seat switch. But that's about it. We don't have our own climate control panel in the middle, which is actually quite puzzling because the 3rd row passenger gets a vent control. We don't have anything here in the 2nd row except this little cubby that slides out. We have access to the center console in the front here. You can see that opens 2 ways, from the front and from the back. You can adjust the position of the passenger seat from back here. Always love that feature in the Hyundai and Genesis cars. And then you've got USB-C ports on the backs of the seats. Love to see that. You've got seat back pockets on both of the back seats, 2 more cup holders on each side. Lots of places to put things in this Santa Fe. Fold down adjustable armrests. I'm stalling a bit because that gentleman just got into his Ford Focus and I don't want to freak him out by walking around the car and talking to myself. A quick glimpse at the front dashboard design, and you can see all of the little H's that they've kind of worked into the design language of the Santa Fe, which actually I meant to mention that on the outside. You can see some here in the back seat, on the back of the front seats, and just about everywhere you look, there's more H's everywhere in this design. You can see there's one right here on our vents. We come around to the back, the taillights are H's. Around to the front, you can see the DRLs. Those are H's. The entire front bumper has an H design. Calligraphy models also get black Hyundai badges. We have black wheels on a Kumo all-season tire. This is a 255/45 R20 squared setup. A little bit big still, I think, for a hybrid car. 20-inch wheels are just a little bit preposterous in my opinion, but they are a bit smaller than the ones you get on the base engine, the non-hybrid calligraphy model. Speaking of engines, let's talk about what powers this one. So obviously I told you guys this is a hybrid, and our powertrain setup, it's a little bit complex. There's kind of a lot going on. So it's a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with an electric motor and a 6-speed automatic transmission. Combined power output here, 231 horsepower, 271 pound-feet of torque, and this one is H-Track all-wheel drive. You can see there is our 1.6 liter. That is quite the exposed plug there in the front. That looks very fun to unplug, and I would like to do so, but I will refrain so we can actually make it home. We've got hood struts on this, which you should expect for $50,000. All right, and that's gonna wrap up our walk around. Let's go ahead and jump in this thing and get out on the road and see if we can achieve that 34 miles to the gallon. You can see up front, our door panels have more of that green and tan, and this isn't wood. I think it's trying to be wood, but it is fake silver trim. Lots of dimension to this interior. More H's here on our Napa leather seats. That's an option that you only get with the calligraphy. Pretty quiet once you're in the cabin. Not as quiet as a Genesis product, but it does do a pretty good job of blocking out the outside world. And that 1.6 doesn't fire up right away. I do wish this had a power adjust steering column for our $50,000, but that is all right. Okay, and since that 1.6 liter just fired up, I'm gonna shut this off and turn it back on before we leave so we can have an accurate reading for our fuel economy. But let's run it while we show you the rest of this interior, which I'm a pretty big fan of, and it's gonna sound hilarious, but my favorite part about this entire interior are these 2 wireless chargers because they have MagSafe. I cannot tell you how many times I just don't use wireless chargers in cars because my phone goes flying and it slides around. It never charges properly. This I've had no problems with all week. At the launch event with that car, I had no problems with it. If your phone moves while you're driving a Santa Fe, it's only because you had a crash. Otherwise, this will stay in place. The second coolest thing in this Santa Fe interior is a built-in UVC sanitizer in this little cubby here in the dashboard. And this is actually not only on the calligraphy. You can get this on the lower trim model, which is called the Limited. It starts about $44,000. so you can have that. This goes in there, which is also a grippy surface. You press this button and it sanitizes your phone. It takes it about 10 minutes. When it's done, the light will turn off. And I don't know why more cars don't have that. Emily is a huge germaphobe. She loves that feature, and I imagine a lot of people would appreciate seeing cubbies like that in cars of the future. So we'll see if Hyundai started a trend with that or not. Otherwise, we've got 2 moonroofs. We have actually no place to put our sunglasses up here. That's kind of surprising. Loads of physical buttons, actually. Haptic touch climate panel, though it stays in place, which is nice. Wireless CarPlay on this 12.3-inch infotainment screen. This steering wheel looks like it was pulled straight from a Range Rover, even though Hyundai says no. They had no inspiration whatsoever, and these 4 dots here mean H in Morse code, so instead of the Hyundai badge, which I feel like they're really trying to hide in this interior, you get these 4 little dots. Steering wheel design itself, I think, is nice. In my opinion, these 2 spokes sit up a little bit high to rest your hands comfortably. I wish they sat a little bit lower. But anyway, I think that'll do it for our interior tour here. There's people trying to park and people walking all around. So we should just go ahead and get out on the road. I'm gonna shut this back off because I wanna reset our fuel economy. And then as soon as we fire it back up, we will get on the road. Cool. Give you a quick look at our reverse camera. You can see we also have a 360 cam on this Santa Fe. Parking sensors, all the good stuff. Column shifter down here, which a couple of years ago I would have told you I felt it was backwards, but I am finally used to that, and it feels normal to operate it. Ultra light steering. Pretty easy to maneuver. And this parking structure has a bit of a cheat code, so we'll actually be able to kind of cut down on one ramp instead of winding our way down like we usually do. While we're in the dark here, you guys can see our ambient lighting. All right, let's wind our way down here, test out maneuverability. Plenty of room, yeah, no problem. It's not the fastest steering in the world, but it is light enough to where it's quite pleasant for daily driving. I mean, this is kind of the steering weight that I desire for a daily driver, especially an SUV this size. You can hear our hybrid noise. Okay. Let's get this Santa Fe hybrid out into the wild and commute it home. Now, these Hyundais are never really like your traditional hybrid feel. And that's because when I think hybrid, I always think Toyota, I think CVT, I think Honda with their 2-motor hybrid system. And this is just a little bit weird feeling because this is just a 6-speed torque converter automatic transmission behind this 1.6 and hybrid system. And it all honestly works together pretty well. I wasn't really sure what to expect with this being a little bit of a heavier, bigger car with just a 1.6 turbo with this 6-speed auto, but honestly, inputs are smooth. It feels pretty natural. I haven't really had any clunkiness or misshifts or anything. And I gotta say, I'm happy that this has a 6-speed torque converter automatic because as some of you may know, the regular Santa Fe has an 8-speed dual clutch, and those have been seeing some failures, pretty high fail rates when they first came out last year in 2024. Of course, this is the second model year of this new Santa Fe. And in fact, I even know some people that had failures. My friends over at Car Confections, their Santa Fe failed pretty much as soon as they drove it off the lot. So it was kind of a sad start to this new Santa Fe, but I think they're starting to get things ironed out. That is a very cool green Maserati Levante. You gotta be really careful driving downtown. Constantly scanning for people crossing the street. But for city driving, the Santa Fe does things pretty well. Throttle response, overall throttle tuning, nice and progressive. You don't get jumpy starts. Transitions from electric to ICE are very smooth. Brake pedal feel is nice. Steering is light, as I showed you guys. Plenty maneuverable in that parking structure. Appears maybe class has just gotten out. Okay, I will be quiet and just let you guys observe the noises of the Santa Fe. We have a camera mirror in this. Turn that on, why not? I think, honestly, out of all the different hybrid pedestrian safety noises, I do like Hyundai's. I feel like it's the most polite out of all of them. We're actually leaving the city in a bit of a different way than we normally do because I waited way too long to film this video today. It's about to be rush hour. The way we normally take out of the city is going to be total gridlock, so we're going to go a different way. But I suppose while we're stopped, we can kind of finish talking about this interior. So many places to put things, and that is just a huge perk of the Santa Fe. There's a huge tray here under this raised center console. It's another advantage of having a column shifter is you do just have this entire center area opened up. This center console is super deep, fits a lot of things. I mean, 2 places for you to charge your phone. Even when you're in EV mode, you feel those gear changes from the 6-speed automatic. I suppose we'll see over time kind of how this holds up. I know the Toyota system that they have with their CVT, those are pretty dang bulletproof. I think the failure rate is super low. So we'll have to see how this holds up. But I mean, well, this one's only got 1,600 miles on it, but it feels very, very well engineered. I will give them that. Ride quality is great, even on these 20-inch wheels. 45 section sidewalls usually do the trick, but the damping is very soft. Don't think you're going to be chucking this thing around corners. There's a pretty good amount of body roll. The chassis itself is fine. You can drive it spiritedly. I don't know why you would really want to, but it does okay. But the point of an SUV is not really to be a sports car, and this does a great job of grand touring, being a daily driver. It's comfortable. I really have enjoyed living with this week. There's not really anything about the driving experience on this Santa Fe that's inspiring, but that's okay. I don't think every car that you drive has to be inspiring. Like I don't think Hyundai Santa Fe and think driver's car, think yes, that's going to be fun. The fun from this car is looking at it from the outside, looking at it on the inside, all of the places to put things that just make the ease of use, the convenience of this car. That's the fun factor here. Sorry if you're an enthusiast, it's not going to blow your socks off. 0 to 60 takes about 8 seconds, so you won't be winning any drag races, but it does have enough power to get out of its own way, to merge on the highway, all of the important things. I know I touched in the beginning how the steering wheel is a little bit awkward. I feel like everything, it sits a little bit high. Like, I feel like my hand should be like here instead of here. Kind of makes me want to drive it with 2 hands, which I guess is not necessarily a bad thing. But sometimes you want to relax, and ergonomically it's a little bit awkward to drive it like this. So I've been driving it around more like this week. You can take manual control of the 6-speed auto with these steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. Got a number of drive modes. We have sport mode, my drive mode, and snow mode. I just drive it in eco. I mean, I really haven't messed with the drive modes a whole lot this week. I think the biggest praise I can give this car is just how easy it is to drive. Inputs are just so seamless. And it's really cool to me that Hyundai has, I know Hyundai is, they've been around now like mainstream for over 20 years. So they've had time to learn how to make a car. But I don't think this hybrid system is really that old. So it's cool that they've been able to make something that feels this confident and professional. makes the $50,000 price of this feel a little bit better. So anyway, we should talk about pricing. So the Santa Fe Hybrid starts at 37 grand for the SEL. There is no SE model for the hybrid. The limited model is 44 grand. The calligraphy starts just under 50. This one with the earthy brass matte, which I think is a silly name. Anyway, the paint is $1,000 option. Destination bumps this up to just over $51,000. So it ain't cheap, but the silver lining here is that you don't have to get the calligraphy. It still looks very cool in base model trim. If I were to get one, I'd probably go for the limited. 44,000, you get a lot of what you get in here, including the UVC sanitizer. You get heated and ventilated elements, and I think the limited looks the part. So you could save like 8 grand over this car, and it would just be worth it, I think. Also, I'm going to say that I think getting the hybrid over the base model, unless you want to get an SE, I understand if you want to get a base model, it makes sense to opt for the non-hybrid. But in any other configuration, it's like $1,000 more to get the hybrid. And this, as far as the EPA goes, as far as what they've rated, is 11 miles to the gallon more efficient than the non-hybrid car. So I don't know why you wouldn't just go with the hybrid. I suppose concerns for longevity, but also you don't get the 8-speed dual clutch with this. You get the regular 6-speed automatic. So I feel like the hybrid's definitely the one to get. I hate merging at 45. Why do we do this? All right, passing power test. Here we go. That is going to ruin the fuel economy, but it's all part of the real world commute. Yeah, we got up to speed just fine. 6-speed kicks down. Shifts gears pretty slow. It's not an impressive automatic transmission as far as speed goes, but it gets the job done. Since this is a Hyundai, we have the full suite of driver aids. One press on this cruise control button, everything is active, and it does the driving for you. And what I like about this is you can actually adjust the speed at which it reacts. There's 5 different levels, which are buried in the infotainment. I'm not going to mess with them just because I don't want to be distracted while I'm driving. But you have steering assist, lane keeping, lane change assist, adaptive cruise. Obviously, you can adjust the distance here on the steering wheel. You've got 4 different distance adjusters. And this will change lanes for you, but you have to have your hand on the wheel. I don't love that. Kind of defeats the purpose. Let's set this to a bit of a higher speed. You can see it reacts in an okay manner. I have this set to react the fastest, and I still think it doesn't really react fast enough. I would like to see this make decisions a little bit faster. Don't really like to feel like I'm holding up traffic, and I sometimes do in this Santa Fe. But once you get past all that, once you're in your groove with your driver age, your cruise control, everything, it's a nice place to be. Seating position is nice, apart from where your hands are on the wheel, that like I complained about earlier. Actually sitting in this, seeing out over the hood is very nice. Elbow comfiness, it's okay. I think they really tried going so over the top Land Rover with this interior that they've made some of these materials a little bit stiff, a little bit kind of rugged feeling, and my elbows are kind of paying the price. It's not like they're resting on plastic, but it's kind of just like one notch above it. Hopefully that means that this interior will hold up nicely, but I'm not really too sure. Only time will tell. But the seat is nice. The seat is definitely not stiff. You have a pretty good amount of support here with this. And you do have a lumbar adjuster, which is 4-way lumbar. That you can only get in the calligraphy. The Limited has a 2-way lumbar adjust. I think vent placement is nice here. Big chunky controls to move the vents. You can aim them pretty well. They're all a little bit low down, so if you're someone that likes the vent aimed at your face, they're kind of hard to aim, but otherwise they do a good job. With this being a 6-speed, we are revved over 2,000 RPM at 79 miles per hour. In my opinion, this is a normal speed that you go when you just want to get home from work. I mean, you want to spend as little time as possible on the highway. In left lane traffic, it's terrible. This sort of traffic flow is unconceivable to the European mind. I always get comments from Europeans that are like, what is anybody doing as far as like traffic goes. There's people, and I'm guilty of this too, just because it's the way it goes. I mean, everyone else, you're essentially forced to conform to the terrible driving habits of everyone else. But you've got people that sit in the left lane, you've got people that pass on the right, that fly up the right lane, you've got people trying to exit. It's really just a huge cluster. And this area actually is especially bad because we're exiting on the left. So a lot of these people that are camping in the left lane are actually exiting in a mile. So this whole section of highway is just like a total nightmare. Quick check on our MPGs, 24.8. Not super great. I think the highway rating for this is 33. Combined, like I said, is 34. When Car and Driver tested the Santa Fe Hybrid, their observed average was 26. Obviously, it's cold. The winter blend gasoline is definitely hindering our MPGs. But it seems like real world on this is not quite as high as Hyundai claims it is. NVH on the highway, not the quietest thing in the world. Obviously, that comes with this being shaped like a brick. The boxy designs are always going to be a little bit louder on the highway, a little bit less aerodynamic. These Commute tires, also not the quietest thing. Oh, we have a Bose sound system in here. We should test that. This song actually takes a minute to warm up, so we'll give it a second here. Ooh, that's a good one. Coming across a couple lanes to exit. My goodness. I feel like this drive was a little short, so we'll go ahead and we'll hit the performance loop as well. Why not? But before we do that, let's listen to this Bose. This is a decent sound system. I wouldn't say it's class leading. I'd say it's a little bit weaker than a Bose system that you would find in a Honda. And it's about on par with a Harman Kardon and a Kia. Makes sense, you know, same parent company for all of these. And the Harman Kardons, the Boses in these Korean cars, never really the most impressive. So this is like a B tier sound system. Nothing to write home about, but not the worst thing in the world. Okay, we are observing 26 MPG from today's commute. We're going to go into sport mode. MPG is going to be out the window, but may as well show you what performance is like. Try and get around this donk town car. Haha, very cool. Take manual control of the 6-speed auto by pulling my up paddle into 6th gear. You can see, I don't know if you guys noticed back there during the sound system test, I tried to go around that semi. My foot was almost to the floor, and this took forever to kick down. Sport mode definitely improves your throttle response. My special talent is talking about a car like the Hyundai Santa Fe for 40 minutes. I don't know how anyone can do that. Okay, we are going to have to pass this semi on the right. I do apologize. We'll do one spirited corner, and that's going to wrap this video up. Okay, see how much these Kumos can handle. going to hold that gear. Interesting. Alrighty, guys. Well, that is just about going to wrap it up for us today in the Santa Fe. You can see we've diminished our fuel economy quite a bit. Back into eco mode, back into EV. I think 26 MPG, as Car and Driver observed on their time in this car, is a pretty accurate measurement of what you're going to get on a real world basis. Obviously, you can hypermile this thing. You can drive it only in the city. Sure, you probably could achieve that 34 miles to the gallon under ideal conditions. But I think even 26 miles to the gallon for something shaped like a brick is really not all that bad. So I guess you could look at this from a positive or a negative point of view. Hyundai has made this look pretty wild on the outside, pretty untraditional of other vehicles in this class from Honda, Toyota, Kia, Nissan. This definitely makes the biggest statement, but they haven't made it drive really that special, and I think that's a good thing. That could be looked at as a good thing, that could be looked at as a bad thing. If you look at this and you think it's going to drive like a Range Rover, well, you're going to be very disappointed, because it certainly does not. It still drives like a Hyundai Santa Fe. It's just kind of is what it is, and I think that was the right move for them, to just kind of make it a bit of a poser car. This is going to be really good at pulling through the pickup line at school and having other parents go, whoa, what is that? And that's probably the highest praise you could give this. It'll do a pretty good job at impressing the other parents, I suppose. But jokes aside, it's nice to drive. It's nice to live with. I think it's efficient enough. Everything in here works fine. You've got a volume knob. I don't know. That'll wrap it up, though. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything on what it's like to live with this Santa Fe hybrid, if you have any questions about it. Okay, well, that's the new 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe hybrid calligraphy, a $51,000 brick that's actually decently efficient, easy to use, nice to live with. And a car that Hyundai claims they had zero inspiration from Range Rover on. I went to the launch event and journalists were grilling Hyundai on this. They were like, so is there any inspiration from Range Rover? And they got very defensive and they were like, no, there's no inspiration from Range Rover at all, which I suppose would be believable on the outside. But then you get in and you look at the steering wheel and you're like, did you not just pull that directly from a Range Rover? I don't know. Anyway, though, I think it's cool that they're kind of going above and beyond with making this look a little bit wacky, and we need more of that in this segment, because every Santa Fe before this was just absolutely nothing at all to look at. So it's cool that they're doing this, and overall, I kind of like this thing. So that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.